under wet conditions as riders head off for their warm-up lap. And Jason, looking at this conditions of the track right now, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's way better than it's kind of almost like it was this morning for these guys. They got to race in decent conditions. They had the worst conditions yesterday, so now they got decent conditions, and all throughout the day we've had bad conditions. So it's a little better for them now.
Now we're talking a lot about Dunlop rain tires, and some people are questioning what are rain tires. So we had a chance to catch up with Tony Romo from Dunlop, who explains it to us.
Well, the rain tire, a true rain racing tire, gives you an incredible amount of confidence. If you've never ridden them before, it's kind of shocking at first how much grip you get from the very first time around. This is a very soft compound. Not only is it really soft, but it's also kind of a tire, like a water shedding compound as well. It has some water shedding properties. The construction's also very soft, so when you can almost overheat the tire as well, and you'll close those sipes up. If you don't have those sipes open, you're not going to shed water.
Yeah, those sipes are really grooves, as you and I know it, Jason.
Yep.
That can be really tricky if the track starts to dry out, and then even worse if it starts to dry out and then it starts to rain again. Let's take a look at our starting grid. These are results from race number 2. Matthew Skoltz, Loris Baz, and Jake Gagne in row 1.
Cam Peterson, Jake Lewis, and Ashton Yates. Good interview with Ashton after our last race. Kyle Wyman, Bobby Fong, Danny Eslick, row number 3. Then we got Barber, Alexander, and Josh Herron. Travis Wyman, Michael Gilbert, David Anthony are going to be on row 5. Aguilar, Giannato, and Toby Kamsuk. And we have Wyatt Ferris, Flinders, Perk, and Danilo Lewis there on the back row today. So,
and now the question is, we've had 2 races in these conditions, so teams have had ample time to get data, to get set up, but no one was as good as, I would say this is probably pretty close to the way it was in the first race of today.
Yeah, what do you think we have? Do we have a third different winner?
I don't know. I mean, this rider right here we're looking at is unbelievable in the rain when he's 100% healthy, but that right wrist, the throttle wrist of Loris Baz is definitely sore, and he had to go at it this morning from 10 to 11 o'clock in the morning local time, and here we are, it's past 4 o'clock, so that can either be a help or a hindrance. 15 laps scheduled in this race. Who's going to get the good start? When the lights go off, we're racing our final race of the season. Look at the start from the Westby rider, Matthew Skoltz. Off to the lead he goes. Jake Gagne got a good one, and so did Cam Peterson. Oh, and Skoltz goes a little wide. He was running on a racetrack and had to give up a little bit of track position.
Oh,
Gagne looks like he missed a shift.
Cam Peterson went up underneath Baz, too, committed really early to that, but Gagne's going to come out of there, Greg. Like I said, it looked like something kind of weird happened, didn't it? And Skoltz gets himself up to second as he goes past Cam Peterson there, so now it's on. Like, this is what we were expecting. I thought that, look at Baz, goes up underneath Skoltz as they get down into Charlotte's Whip there. Gagne probably went back with a bunch of information and talked to Stamboli about it, and probably has not a completely different package underneath him, but probably something a lot different than he had this morning. We'll see.
Yeah. Jake Gagne's crew chief John Cornwell and Richard Stamboli all putting their heads together on how to get that fresh lean attack performance Yamaha faster. Loris Baz moving himself into second spot, and he definitely doesn't want to see the 32 of Gagne set sail off into the distance. But Cameron Peterson's having none of it on the M4X Star Suzuki. He's starting to give Baz some fits as Baz continues to learn the racetrack, Jason, with no time really on Friday to speak of, and only the race yesterday and today.
Well, he knows the track pretty well now as far as the layout and where he can go. And there goes Cam Peterson, tips off. Cam Peterson crashes in turn number 13. Seen a few riders do that. Now, Greg, it almost looked like he touched the white paint on the inside again. The front went so quickly. So when we go back and look at that again, we'll see if that is the case. Jake Gagne, though, is gone. This is going to be almost probably a 4-second lead as the 32 comes out of the last corner. He's going to be leading Baz and Skoltz, and you can see behind him how big of a gap they've got back to the groups back there. You see Ashton Yates and Herron and Jake Lewis, but Baz is in second. Skoltz is third.
Yeah, Baz really rolls into turn number 1.
Let's look and see how tight he gets to this curbing when he gets down to the bottom. No, he's out of election, maybe even a little bit wide, wasn't he? So, but but in these conditions, Greg, it just happens so quickly. You saw that front tire just fold up underneath him.
Yeah, normally we talk about wide or tight, and that has to do a lot with the rubber on the racetrack and how much traction you get. In these conditions, it's really not about that. As a matter of fact, in talking to Richard Stamboli earlier this weekend, we had a conversation about rubber on the track and how Formula One in the rain, they tend to get off the race line because when you get fresh asphalt that doesn't have the pores filled with rubber, it tends to give you more traction in the wet. Jake Gagne, Fresh and Lean Attack Performance Yamaha, your new national champion, is doing what we've seen him do all year long. Already with a 3.3 second lead. Gagne, who's made some mistakes this weekend uncharacteristically, is controlling the race for the moment. But make no mistake, Jason, as Loris Baz continues to feel this racetrack out and these Dunlop rain tires, he could start picking up the pace as the laps wear on.
Yeah, well, you got to think, Gagne went 42 flat from a standing start there. So we're going to see what his first lap is going to be when he comes through here. Right now he's got some greens and some purples, as does Baz.
Jason, I think Loris Baz is going to try and make quick work of Jake Gagne as best as he can here as these laps click on. But these full wet conditions are much better for him than the mixed conditions from this morning. And obviously starting from the front row will help him kind of stay out front. The target this race is to get the win finally this season that he's been looking for. They made a small change to the front suspension to use a bit more travel, softened it a bit more. In the long corners, he was losing time, but he realizes he's a bit faster on the rest of the track, especially in the second sector, and he feels he's also improved in the third. So we'll see if that holds true as these laps wind down.
Yeah, I mean, he just went through sector number 1, setting the fastest sector split of the race so far. But Gagne right now with a 4.3 second lead over Loris Baz.
Yeah, that time Baz was about a second off of what Gagne was. So let's see if this lead starts to come down at all as he goes quickest second split as well, Greg. He's already gained 0.3 back, almost half second back on this lap. So we'll see if that continues all the way through it, because Baz will start to get comfortable. Obviously, the track this is the best conditions we've seen. I don't think we've seen anybody in the Superbikes even into the 30s in our first two races. Yesterday was a lot wetter, and then this morning similar to now, but it's definitely been drying. 39.5 that last time through for Jake Gagne. A little bit further back, how about this? Ashton Yates says he wanted to try to go for a top 5 in the second of today's Superbike races. He ended up 4th yesterday, and he's running a solid 4th right now.
He even said podium in that post-race interview we did with him earlier today. Let me tell you, if Jake Gagne, Loris Baz, or Matthew Schultz has any issues up ahead of him, he could find himself in that Jones Honda on the box. That would be quite a story to tell.
Yeah, and I mean, right now, as far as our Superbike Cup competitors, he's way ahead of Jake Lewis and all the rest of those guys. So this morning, I believe Jake Lewis finished just in front of him.
Superbike, Jason.
Yep.
Superbike Cup, of course, stock 1000 spec machines allowed to race in the Honos Superbike class, and they have a race within a race. Your championship winner in that one is in 6th place, Jake Lewis. He's just behind Josh Herron, who looks like Herron is out on rain tires this time and having a much better go at it.
Yeah, he's going to have a lot more fun in this one. And here we get a little further back, Jake Lewis, Travis Wyman there as well. And just behind Travis is his brother Kyle Wyman. So there's a bunch of little packs that are riding around together and just still getting used to this. Fastest lap, Gagne again that last lap over Baz, just by about 0.6 of a second.
And Jason, I asked Josh Herron about those slicks in that first race. He said it didn't quite work out. The track didn't dry up quick enough like he had hoped, but he really wanted to take a chance and try something different. You know, unfortunately, that affected his starting position for this race from 18th, but he was really counting on a good start and wants to try and get up front as early as he can. Ultimately, he wants to try and fight for a win. As long as he keeps it upright, though, he'll be happy.
Yeah, what's funny, you can, if it would have dried out a little bit, Greg, it would have been the hero of the day, wouldn't it?
No doubt.
You take a chance, and it doesn't hurt to do that every now and then. Josh doesn't have anything to lose his last couple races of the year, but it just didn't quite work out for him. Right now, it looks like he's going to have some company from some people behind him. How about this? Battle between brothers, and Kyle's having a look as he goes up underneath Travis. Didn't quite make it there. So
yeah, in these conditions, you're looking at the red machine is a stock 1000 spec BMW S1000, and of course Kyle Wyman on that 1Cure Ducati. That's a full-blown Superbike. In a straight line, the Superbike's quicker, but when you add rain into it, it's all about how is those electronics set up and how can you get the drive to the ground. As Travis Wyman who was battling all year with Jake Lewis, the rider in front of him for that Superbike Cup championship, had some issues. So Kyle Wyman out on the racetrack trying to get around these stock 1000s. Looks like it's going to be his last ride on a Superbike Ducati, as he has made the announcement, or in an interview on roadracingworld.com last week said, hey, unfortunately, he's just not going to run Ducatis anymore. He's going to move to a different brand, and we'll see what happens.
Yep, and he gets a really good run right now on Travis and Jake Lewis as they go down into Charlotte's Web. Not quite close enough to get there. But, yeah, Kyle did make that announcement. Not sure exactly what his plans are yet for 2022, but just looking for a little bit of a change.
That's the excitement of the offseason. Of course, you can keep all the action, keep up with all the action on MotoAmerica.com, as that crew keeps up with all the moves, the changes, and the rumors that happen during the offseason.
I think if we see what happened last lap, when they come out of this right, they're going to go through this quick left-right. You can see Kyle's got that bike up off the edge, as is his brother, but Kyle's a little bit quicker on the exit of this corner. He might be able to set himself up to the inside of Travis as they get down towards turn 12.
There goes the Ducati under acceleration, so Kyle Wyman will make the pass on his brother. So that was set up. That took him about a lap to set that one up.
That's really what you do in these conditions. When it's dry and you have grip, you can do a lot more aggressive type of passes on people. You don't have to wait sometimes as long, but in these conditions, you kind of got to see where you might be a little bit better than the other, and he saw that last lap with his brother.
Well, Jason, when it comes to sibling rivalry, there really isn't one between these two. You know, they've grown up racing around each other, and obviously they had some fun with Harley-Davidson in the bagger class earlier this season, done some testing. You know, it's a lot of fun for them to ride around each other, but at the end of the day, you want to finish in front of your brother.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Oh, Heron off.
Heron goes off. Oh, Corey Alexander was off too in the grass, but both riders are back on track and getting going again. But I looked just a lap before. It looked like Corey had gotten by Hector Barbera, and then he's run off the track down in turn 1 through the grass, back on. Didn't lose a lot of time.
Well, Hector Barbera has got a penalty for a jump start as well. We learned that. So if you're a fan of Hector Barbera, he's in 11th spot. But look at this side-by-side action going on here. That's
Bobby Fong's there.
Yeah, yep. It's getting a little chippy. All the while, Jake Gagne is now 7.3 seconds out in front of Loris Baz, who's got about a second and a half on Matthew Skultz, and 15 seconds away from Ashton Yates. And then this battle, Josh Heron, Lewis, Kyle Wyman, Travis Wyman, all in the mix. And you can see there's Hector Barbera.
Bobby Fong now going up underneath Travis Wyman. So Heron, after running off in the grass, makes up a couple spots right away and gets past Travis. And there's Hector Barbera, like you say. Gonna have that 5-second penalty. Is he going up underneath Travis too? It looked like he was.
Yep. He made that pass.
He did make it work, yes.
Scheibe Racing BMW, Hector Barbera. He has been an absolute pleasure to have in this paddock. Always a smile on his face, very positive. Steve Scheibe telling me he's really enjoyed having Hector in the paddock. And considering the electronics that are available on this motorcycle and what Hector's goal was to turn it all off and try to do it himself, I think they've had great success. The Scheibe Racing BMW, if you look at top speeds all year long, has been towards the top of the timesheets. So we'll see what happens.
Baz has crashed. Is that on the exit of, is that turn 1, isn't it, Greg? I think.
I believe it is.
Maybe not. That was at last corner. I'm just having a look to see if I can tell where this is. He's got through the first split, so.
Looks like Charlotte's Web.
Charlotte's Web, yes.
Right down there in the middle of the track.
How about that puts Ashton Yates up to where you said he might finish. Ashton Yates now on that Superbike Cup stock 1,000 rather. Ashton Yates goes up into third. Baz is trying to figure out what's going on with this bike. There's going to be a big group.
And Jason,
going to be around him in a minute.
You and I have talked all during the course of this weekend, considering how wet it has been, how few crashes we have seen down into Charlotte's Web. And if you haven't been to Barber Motorsports Park, when you come out of turn 4, you actually climb a pretty steep hill, and it peaks out, and then you start heading down pretty steep hill down into turn number 5. So it's not like it's a flat braking zone. You're putting a lot of load on the front tire, and not many people have gone down there. And Baz, he was gaining confidence.
He's trying. Something's going on. He's trying to reset it or something. I think he shut it off. He's going to try to turn it back on. And here's that big group of riders coming up behind Baz now. He's probably got it re-going again. Let's see.
So unfortunately for the Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati New York team, Loris Baz down in this one. He picks it back up, and because of that reset, wasn't able to kind of get back into a good position. He's in the mix now.
That's what he did, didn't he? He just had to reset it. You saw him turn around, look back. Nobody behind him. Looked like he killed it. Was coasting along. Turned the bike back on. Oh, he's up the back of Barber, almost there. And now he's going to charge back through all these guys he wants to go back past. But yeah, that's heartbreaking for him. Now this battle that we see, Kyle Wyman's actually leading it, is the battle for fourth. Ashton Yates is about 14 seconds up the road. So we're on lap 8 of 15. 8 laps to go.
Not impossible for Loris Baz to go catch Ashton Yates and possibly put it on the podium. You could see that Baz, it was, but you can see that Baz definitely has some speed over the riders that he is with currently. So there he goes by Fong and Josh Herron. So the Frenchman, who is known as one of the best rain riders in the world, Jason, without argument, who's had some spectacular performance even last year in World Superbike, is now using all of his skills to march forward.
How about you fall over in that corner, right?
Woof.
Yeah, it gets in there a little bit wide. You fall over, and then the next lap, you pass 2 guys into the same corner you just fell over from. So
I guess that's
a lot of confidence.
Memory.
And here we go. He goes right down the inside of Bobby Fong and Herron. Gets through here, gets such a good drive out that he then closes up on the back of Jake Lewis and was able to go past him. And now he's chasing after Kyle Wyman. So Wyman just up the road ahead.
It just shows you, though, too, Jason, that Baz knew whatever he did wrong, he knew exactly what he did incorrectly down into Charlotte's Web, and he's like, all right, I won't do that again.
Yeah, now he's caught back up to the back of Kyle Wyman. We'll see where, he's going straight to the inside of Kyle as they get up there into 16. He makes that pass.
A lot of confidence.
Oh, man, he's got so much confidence. He's going to be so mad at himself for tipping over. Always very gracious to his team about how hard they work for him. And let's see, it's to him to Ashton right now is 14.5 seconds. So he went through a bunch of people. Ashton went 42.6 that time. Loris Baz went 40.1. So it's a 2.5 seconds difference.
To this guy.
Times,
Jake Gagne.
Between Yates and Baz.
Yeah, so for this guy, Jake Gagne, though, he's got a 10.4 second lead. Sorry about that, Jason.
Yeah, no worries.
To Matthew Skultz. And then it's 32 total seconds back to Ashton Yates, and it's that 14.5 second difference for Yates as his team is going to be egging him on. But for Jake Gagne, he's trying to rewrite the history books. He already has tied Cameron Beaubier and Josh Hayes before the MotoAmerica in Superbike, in terms of 16 race wins in a single season. This would put Jake Gagne all alone in that category. 17 wins on a season. It would also move him up in the all-time win list and tie him with the great Nicky Hayden with 17 wins. And for Jake Gagne to do that in one season is unbelievable.
Great weekend for this guy, Matthew Skultz. Tremendous season for the whole Westby team. They got a nice race win here this morning. And, all intents and purposes, yesterday he tipped off with 3 to go with a nice little lead. And but overall, second in our championship, best season he has had. Westby team seems like they're working really well together in a solid second place right now in this race.
And Jason, this morning's win definitely makes Matthew Skultz feel a bit better about how yesterday's race ended, but he knows conditions are ever changing. He has a really good understanding after yesterday's laps where water's pooling and how to choose the right lines that'll maximize time but also safety. Having to adjust lines quite a bit, but he's making it work. He really wants to keep it upright, and he thinks he can go for a win, but he sees this as a fresh start compared to this morning's race.
Yeah, I mean, it is a fresh start without question. And Jay, just looking ahead, the plans that this team has for Matthew Skultz. Last year he left the U.S., went back to South Africa. He got married this weekend. His parents are here. And the question is, what's the offseason going to look like? How aggressive is the Westby team going to be in the development of this Yamaha R1 around Matthew Skultz? They've made such big strides this season. Matthew is well known for working on his riding, especially the smoothness of the transition from throttle to brakes and brakes back onto the throttle. And so the future is really bright for Matthew Skultz and the Westby Racing team as they just continue to look at the difference, the gap between Gagne and Skultz in normal dry conditions that we have. Right now, Jake Gagne's already come across the stripe. So for Gagne, there's 5 laps to go. Information on the pit board. As you can see, Skultz is 10.7 seconds behind Gagne, but he's got 23 over Ashton Yates. So a good run from Schultz.
Good run from Schultz. Right now I'm looking a little bit further back, even though we got Schultz on our screen. He's riding great. Here's our third place rider, Ashton Yates. Out of that last corner again. The biggest problem right now for Ashton is his last lap through was a 42.1. This time he's gone 42.6. But Loris Baz, after picking himself up at the ground, was only 0.2 off the fastest lap of the race. In fact, Greg, he's just gone fastest lap of the race at a 38.9. So 42.6 for Baz, 38.9 for Baz, 42.6 for Ashton Yates. By the end of this race, Ashton's going to have a Ducati pretty close to him, I think.
Yeah, for Ashton Yates, I mean, he's got to have his eyes forward. It just depends on what information the team's going to put on the pit board to try to motivate him. So when Loris Baz came across start-finish line to get the fastest lap of the race just moments ago, the clock said 7.9 seconds behind Ashton Yates. But he's what, 4 seconds? Almost 4 seconds a lap faster.
The main thing is right where Loris is at right now. He can look up the road and actually had a visual of Ashton probably for the first time in 2 laps. And that'll give you a lot of motivation. He is pushing so hard. I can't believe when he got that bike reset on the back straightaway, how quickly he picked off all those riders right in front of him. And now he's gone, well, just looking here, he's gained almost a full, he's almost gained a second and a half. Hector Barber has crashed. He's limping off, looking back to see where that is. Don't like seeing that. We haven't seen Hector hardly make any mistakes this year. Don't like seeing him limping around like that. This is Loris Baz again, though.
Well, you can hear how good the Ducati's working. He gets on the gas, and you're not really hearing the thing spin up. You can see the left side of his bike where he went down. The winglet is gone on that bodywork. And here at Barber, that's not that big of a deal. It's definitely the winglets are designed to control the bike at high speeds.
There you go, Greg. They're in the same shot. So Ashton Yates goes 43.4 to a 39.6. So riding's a little on the wall. Would love to see Ashton get on the podium. This has kind of been the way Loris's year. It's kind of been a weird, strange year for Loris. He's been riding hard, has had some promise here and there, a couple incidents and accidents. This weekend didn't get any dry time, obviously. So he's had to pretty much ride Barber all weekend in the wet. And we've seen him picking some grass up this morning and even this yesterday as well. But now he's got that third place pretty much locked into his sights.
Baz is on the prowl. I mean, this is one of those things if you're Ashton Yates and the family, he's doing everything he can. And we can see he's pushing to the limit. I mean, spinning up, coming onto the front straightaway. Stock 1000 spec machine. They do have some electronic aids, but not nearly as sophisticated as this motorcycle, and definitely not even close to the horsepower that this Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati New York Panigale has. And you just kind of get the feeling that Ashton Yates is a sitting duck right now once Loris Baz gets there. So close to being able to put it on the podium.
I want you to look behind these two guys and think about the people that Ashton Yates is beating right now. Kyle Wyman, Cam Peterson, Heron. Cam Peterson's up to 6th, rather. So Cam's done a tremendous job to get himself back in here. In 6th place, Heron, Alexander, Lewis, Bobby Fong, all these guys are behind. And Ashton's does such a nice job. And but I think it's another couple laps, probably by the end of this next lap, Loris might find himself in front of the Honda rider.
One of the great things about watching a rain race, clear visors, you can see the concentration Ashton Yates has, and pretty soon he's got to get an earful of V4 Panigale Ducati. Here comes Loris Baz. He's close now. He's trying to find a line around him. Ashton Yates just running his own program, trying to hold off. You can see he heard him there. He definitely heard the Ducati, and he had to look over his shoulder, to see, what's coming.
Yeah, and this is where Baz has been really strong, too, going down the inside. You'll see he'll kind of get over to the left a lot earlier, but Ashton goes in there pretty good. He looks over and sees Baz, and that's where Loris was tipped off earlier in the race.
Yeah, you just kind of get the feeling that Loris just knew exactly what he had done down into Charlotte's Web. He let that go, and now into a podium spot after throwing it down the road.
Crazy the lap times he's been turning since he picked himself up off the deck, though, and gets himself back into that 3rd spot.
Yeah, I mean, 10 laps into this race, he goes off and clocks off a 138.9. Gagne's fastest has been a 139 flat earlier on. Jason, just a nice solid pass.
Yeah, just solid. I tell you right now, that bike is so loud that Ashton probably heard it coming up alongside of him as he started braking and listening to the engine braking of that motorcycle as he came down into Charlotte's Web. Baz solidly in third place now. Wanted to give this guy a shout out. This guy as well, Greg, has picked himself up off the deck. Our race winner from yesterday, first time race winner from yesterday. And even before I had the chance to talk about that great helmet he's got.
Yeah.
That's a replica from his dad, Robbie Peterson, who is awesome to have Robbie in the paddock here as well. And very emotional time, I think, for Robbie, getting to see what Cam did as far as getting that special helmet painted.
Oh, we talked to him. He was
Really
up here
cool.
near the booth. Robbie Peterson talked about how many times he was in tears watching his son win a Hono Superbike race. And that helmet it's very much the period of which Robbie was atop of his game. But I love it. I like the retro look, and I think that Arai needs to do a replica of that thing.
Yeah, Robbie's so quiet, soft-spoken, but tremendous rider back in his time, and obviously he's passed that along to this young man. Right now, Cam Peterson is trying his best to reel in Kyle Wyman. Kyle's about 1.4 seconds up the road, but 1.3 seconds quicker that last lap was Cam Peterson over Kyle Wyman. So with 2 laps to go, Cam still has the opportunity to maybe finish top 5 here. And there you go. There's Kyle Wyman just up in front of him right now.
Jake Gagne, your national champion, trying to lock down his 17th Hono Superbike win of the season. That's of a 20-race season. I mean, Mother Nature has thrown everything that she possibly can at Jake Gagne, and it's taken a couple of races. But here we are on the final lap of the season for 2021 MotoAmerica, the championship. Not just the Hono Superbike class, but this is it. As Jake Gagne having a good run at it, 12.4 seconds ahead of Matthew Skultz. And Jason, what can you say about this champion?
Well, it's been a tremendous year, hasn't it? And I think, we'll probably end up seeing Jake here again next year. This guy would love another shot at Europe. And I know when he went over there, the opportunity that he took to go over there and race for Honda in Europe at the time, taking Nicky's spot of all people. And it was an opportunity that obviously he couldn't and wouldn't pass up. But the machinery that he was on over there really wasn't up to what it needed to be, so he didn't really get to showcase. In fact, he probably went 3 years, Greg, where he was never on equipment that he could really showcase the talent that he has. And this goes to show you when you get a young man of as good as Jake Gagne with a great team, he's going to be able to look at him stand the bike upright. That's really all he's doing, is getting that thing stood upright as soon as he can. But he'll probably be here next year, but I think he'd like another shot at the world stage.
Yeah, we'll probably see Jake Gagne here. One thing I like to see is even in these conditions, I think he's still trying to have some fun, knowing that it's going to be a little while before he gets back on his fresh and lean attack performance Yamaha. Little body position shift as he takes it easy through the final corners. Put your hands together for your national champion, Jake Gagne. He finally got the reins sorted out, and onto the front straightaway he comes, and he'll take his record-breaking 17th victory of the season. As we await the arrival of this rider, Matthew Skultz, number 11, coming off of a win, and he'll go front wheel in the air and come across the line and a stand-up wheelie in the wet and get another second-place finish. And from down in Charlotte's Web to a podium position to try to pay back all the work through the entire season, MotoAmerica Hono Superbike rookie, Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati New York's Loris Baz. And he'll be happy with that third-place finish as he takes the checkered flag.
Yep, he'll probably be smiling. How about Ashton Yates coming across the line now? Fourth great weekend for Ashton Yates here at Barber Motorsports Park. And now we're going to be looking for Cam Peterson, as these two guys are already on their cool-off lap. Cam Peterson comes across fifth. Really good ride by him.
There's your race pace, and it's not the typical thing we've seen in the drive from Jake Gagne. Normally you see lap 1, lap 2 is normally the green one, or lap 3, but he ends up going a 39.005. That is just a tenth of a second off the fastest lap of the race that was set by Loris Baz. But what a pace we saw by Jake Gagne, and he did it in Gagne style. We didn't get to see the crash, we just saw him picking the bike up, and then he started the charge.
I mean, the charge was incredible to watch. Guy went the fastest lap of the race a lap after he did this, and he went right back all through these other guys and kept his head down. At this point, he's some 15 seconds behind Ashton Yates, but he was doing the fastest laps that we had seen, and consistently. So he caught up to Ashton very late and was able to make that pass.
And that nets him third on the podium. Here's a look at those results. So it's Gagne with his 17th win, and Skoltz in second. Baz 39 seconds behind because he had to pick it up after throwing it on the ground. Ashton Yates, unbelievable in that stock 1000. Cam Peterson just behind him. Wyman, Alexander, Fong, and Jake Lewis.